It's an anxiety disorder. It occurs either if you've experienced or have witnessed somebody else having a traumatic event. That's usually a very severe traumatic event, that it's a threat to your life or to serious bodily harm. Symptom cluster is this intrusive or re-experiencing cluster. A certain stimuli that reminds them of the event, all of a sudden you'll have a flashback and feel like they're there. The patients maybe have to try to sort of repress the event, so they have amnesia for it or they lack emotion. And another symptom cluster is this hyperarousal. So hypervigilant, anxious, can't sleep, have an exaggerated startle response, so the littlest noise and they'll just really jump.
Proved unable to overcome the psychological impact of war after living in these trenches full of mud, dirt, and dead bodies. The form of trauma known as shell shock was very common among war veterans, and it caused its sufferers to undergo fits of intense fear and shaking. The fear of being bombed, which they had lived with every day for 4 years on end, was engraved in their brains. Some patients felt compelled to go hide themselves at the mere mention of the word bomb. Some veterans even felt terror grip them whenever they saw a uniform. Tens of thousands of soldiers also lost one or more limbs in this war.
And you'd holler in German to come out, you know. Mach schnell, I can remember that. Do it quick. and no one would answer. But you could hear noises, so you'd throw a grenade down the stairs, you know. But you didn't go down to look, you went on down the street to take the next house. I'm sure sometimes there was women and kids down there, I'm sure they probably were, you know. But you just had to be there. Do you believe that? There wasn't no way of telling for sure, you know, unless you went down there. And if it was the wrong people down there, you died for your nosiness, you know. I wrote a story about Blue Eyes, you know. Did you read it? Where the young dead German soldier was laying in the steps in the cellar, and every time we'd go up, he's laying on his back. We had to hold on, you know, to keep from stepping on him, and then look down on him, and his eyes were wide open. But they had dust all over them, but they were wide open. Dead people's eyes were up. And I don't know whether it was the dust or what, but he had real bright blue eyes, and he was just a kid. And every time you go in and out, you have to step over him and look down at his eyes open. I still remember that, but we never moved him. But you're just so used to stuff like that. And women and kids, you know, would get killed. And they were in the buildings, you know. And you could have to, and little kids would be bleeding to death, and it wasn't nothing you could do about it. They were screaming and bleeding, and that was what you had to put up with. People don't know, you know, all the horrible stuff that goes on. And back then, they didn't. The VA is treating me for what is the post-traumatic stress syndrome right now. But after the end of World War II, they never heard of such a thing, you know. Patton, remember, slapped that guy's face that had it, told him to get up there, you yellow son of a bitch, and get back to the front. He did. That's true. He done that. Look at the history. He done it. And you never heard of that then, you know. You were just yellow-bellied coward. But now it's I don't know when it started in Vietnam. I think they started treating it.
Anger, fear, paranoia, sleep disorders. Iraq veteran Joe Wheeler knows all the telltale signs of post-traumatic stress disorder. He lives it.
My main nightmare is voluntarily enlisting in the Army again and being sent back to Iraq. When I'm driving down the road, I'm looking, constantly searching to make sure that there's no IEDs. You know, you find yourself doing these things.
A new Army study of frontline combat units in Iraq confirms Specialist Wheeler is far from alone, showing that nearly half of all National Guard troops, close to 40% of active duty soldiers, and almost a third of Marines report psychological problems. A key finding, Marines suffer less because their tours are shorter, 7 months compared to a year or more for Army troops.
It wasn't Desert Storm. It wasn't even the stress of Afghanistan or Iraq. For First Sergeant Cornell Soignier, it happened when he got back home.
After coming back to Fort Benning, I had a soldier who committed suicide. It's still tough on me to this day. To walk in the barracks room and to see a soldier, brains splattered on the wall, skull splattered everywhere. That was tough. That was really tough.
Soignier had all the symptoms of post-traumatic stress: flashbacks, nightmares, anxiety, irritability, withdrawal from friends and family, difficulty concentrating and adjusting to home.
All of that is very normal, to be expected. In most soldiers, those symptoms will fade over time. However, in some soldiers, those symptoms continue or get worse and interfere with their functioning with their friends, their family, or their work.
And that's when you need help, because medics need to determine if it's PTSD or if it could also be mild traumatic brain injury.
The front bumper's coming off. Well, we're in the lobby here of our hotel. We're completely underwater in this first store here. There's chairs floating by. Big wave, big wave, big wave. Watch the store. See the water get sucked out and then it comes right back in. We're 4 stories up and you can see the water, the surge is dramatically risen here. This is Mother Nature at her worst right here.
A new videotape from Indonesia for the first time shows the devastating tsunami as it barreled through Aceh province 2 weeks ago. The video shows a roiling torrent of dark brown water as it engulfs a busy street, picking up cars and minivans and sending people scrambling up the sides of buildings. The tape, broadcast by Metro TV, was filmed by a cameraman who normally shoots weddings. He started filming shortly after a 9.0 magnitude quake struck under the Indian Ocean December 26th, toppling buildings. The video shows people milling about on the streets of Banda Aceh, apparently unaware that a massive surge of water was heading toward them. More than 104,000 Indonesians died in the catastrophe. Lori Neff, Associated Press.